this is not the first time you've played a character who has struggled to come to terms with a destiny that is larger than himself.
Right.
How readily did you sort of understand what this character had to deal with, and sort of figure out what you had to play?
I think it's a relatively familiar archetype, hero construct. The notion of an everyman individual that's faced with extraordinary consequences and his very life and existence is being threatened, and ultimately takes the mantle and responsibility of something that he never thought was possible. I think we're familiar with that kind of story time and time again. It's very common to the hero storytelling model. This was exciting to me, I think, not so much because it was familiar, but because it existed in the world of TRON. I was thrilled that they were making an animated series that not only dealt with the mythology and the universe that had already been established, but that they were also going to tell stories that existed chronologically between the first and second film. That writers who were involved with Legacy were involved conceptually with this. That it had a kind of union with what was now being created to uphold the mythology. So that was really exciting. And exciting to work on something that felt so cinematic, even though it was within the context of an animated series. For a young audience, it felt that it didn't lose any of the darkness or beauty and majesty that had been established in the films.
Are you like a TRON or a TRON Legacy guy? And sort of what sort of point of entry did you come into this? Was it like, I'm going to sort of jump into the middle? Did you have to reverse engineer at all, sort of who he is in the context of what the characters are like in TRON Legacy, or how did it work for you?
I kind of came to it late. It was something that I was aware of as a child. I knew what light cycles were when I was really young, and I think I'd seen bits and pieces of the first film when I was young, but I never really remember watching the entire thing. But it was just one of those things culturally I was aware of. And even aware, I remember a good couple of years before Legacy came out, there was a teaser, and there was this sort of ramp up to the release of the film, which is when I started to pay attention again. And Legacy was, I'd have to say, would be my real entry level. I saw bits of TRON before Legacy, but I didn't really see the whole thing until after. So I'm coming at it from a new generation to a certain degree.
Well, how much does the sort of script do the work for you in something like this, and how much do you have to research the mythology, or do a lot of work sort of developing? I mean, you talk about sort of the archetypal conflicts that this character goes through.
Sure.
I mean, is it pretty straightforward as a process as an actor for you, or is it very complicated in terms of, because there is this larger universe?
Yeah, I think a lot of the work's done in the script form. There really wasn't a lot to do in regards to researching the world. The character's a brand new character. There wasn't anything that came before him that sort of informed upon his existence or his story. And anything that pertained to the mythology that had already been established or was being continued, a lot of that work was being done in the context of the script. And a lot of the character work as well. I think my job was simply to make that character come to life in a believable way, to, I guess, establish the humanity of the character, even though he's a program. But I think that that's what's attractive about the character, and I think what's relatable about him. I think it's that he's sort of these two things at one time. He's TRON to all these people, or the renegade. But he's also Beck, and he's this normal guy who's a mechanic that has to kind of lead a double life.